What's up, everybody? So we're going to continue our little progression on the power of words, especially when you hear them. So I think it's good to break down really the eight jurisdictions, or the eight continents, or the eight continents with the seven portals with the seven seals, like the how you get from one to another, right? So they're right here, right? So there's eight jurisdictions, okay? And we'll start at the bottom. Okay, so the bottom jurisdiction is treasons, traitors. Okay? So that is where people, when the courts are opened, and people who were public officers that had duty, those who were bestowed duty are indicted at a territorial grand jury, and then prosecuted by whoever they harmed, but they were public officers. They automatically go to the jurisdiction of treasons, okay? And that is the treason colony, and this will be for like the worst of the people in our society that will probably be declared like animal, because Jesus called people dogs and pigs, so they're going to the bottom. That's treasons. Next above that is felonious, or the felonies, right? So that's the felonies. These are people who committed crimes, right? Real crimes. And they committed felonies, but they're not traitors. So they didn't have a duty to act, and they didn't have an oath, and they didn't have a responsibility, but they were regular people that committed felony, right? So they don't get treated as harshly because they never made an oath. The next above that is misdemeanors, right? So that's a penal. That is a community restriction. Usually this is Harley. So that is a community service type community restriction, all right? And then you have civil, okay? So this is the bottom of the barrel. You're born into civil. Everybody's born into civil, okay? The reason you're born into civil is because all children are born with no knowledge, therefore they have no intellect, therefore they have no concept of right and wrong, so they have to be put in kind of like an orphanage with parentage. So they're born into civil law, okay? And that is basically consumer law or caretaker law, where they have to be developed or grown, but they don't have rights, okay? And that's really the only court that's open right now is civil law. That's open to be used. All right. So the next law, all right, is civil liberties. Okay. So civil liberties, right, is land law, right? And that is probate law, and that is equity law. Okay. That law is special law. So if you hear special forces, or you hear that it's equitable, or you hear special counsel, like an attorney general at general law goes down to equity, they go to special law. So all special forces are actually they're kind of molded together with the National Guard units and the reserve units. They're not actually a part of NATO per se. They're separated, so they're special. They're a special jurisdiction. So that's special law. That's equity law. And if you're military and you go get your review done, when you go get your review done after you get discharged, whether you're honorable or not, when you get the discharge upgrade, you're actually upgrading back to equity. And when you upgrade back to equity, you're going to go in front of a special board. If you look at everybody that's on that board, they are either National Guard or reserve, because you're in special jurisdiction. You're in equity. Okay. Next law up is general law. So that's like attorney general. When they're operating where they're supposed to be, they're considered a general law. So or a general, right? A general, right? It's general. That's law. That is like law. So in the Constitution, Article 3, law, equity, admiralty, maritime. Okay. So general law, right, is the highest law that the United States is allowed to participate in because it's in Article 3. and that is the Marine Corps, and that is under the Marine Corps, and that is American general law, and that is the land and the streets. The land and the streets, like in the counties, but it's the land. It's actually land. It's land law. So that is general law. So if you get a general discharge, that puts you at general law. Okay, under honorable condition, it makes it a justice at general law. That's what general discharge means. It means you're in general jurisdiction. Okay. So then there's two more, right? So we covered. There's 6. That's 6 jurisdictions. 2 more. These are American jurisdictions, okay? You have basically canon, which is like community representative standard. So canon law is where the actual grand jury would indict someone who's been put under oath, or someone under honor, or someone who's been bestowed duty. And that's where that trial would take place above general law, because it's outside of the United States. It's actually in America. It's an American court. Okay? So it falls under the 7th Amendment. No fact determined at trial by a jury can be reviewed by any court of the United States except at the rules of the common law. Okay? So it has to be under a community law rules. Okay? So that's canon law, right? Or American canon law, or congregational law, right? And then you have common law, which is American common law. American common law is the highest law. That's why it says no fact determined at trial by a jury, which means that happened at canon law, can be reviewed by any court of the United States, which means it cannot go down to general law, and it cannot go to equity, it cannot go to admiralty, it cannot go to maritime. It cannot go to to misdemeanor, it cannot go to felony, it cannot go to traitors. Okay, so it has to go up. So it must be reviewed at the rules of the common law. 7th Amendment. That's why it's there. So it says a fact is determined at this law. It's outside of the United States. And the only way to get it reviewed is to go up one, and you have to go to common law. At the rules of the common law. All right? So I hope this helps on words and jurisdictions, and God bless and Godspeed. May the seals be broken.